Alright folks, for the first time in my life I have finished a Souls-like game, Bloodborne. Here are my thoughts about it, some likes and some dislikes. First up, starting positive, the likes. Such a satisfying gameplay loop. Venturing off into Yharnam, this undiscovered area, killing people, getting just enough blood echoes to upgrade, retreating to the hunter's dream, upgrading a bit, and the next time heading out and going a little bit further, and then maybe a little bit further, and then get to a point where I can unlock a shortcut, and then there we go, that opens up a whole new avenue. And just that loop, and of course it builds up until a big final boss at the end of the level. Over and over, it's so satisfying, it never got old. Brilliant. This game is absolutely beautiful to look at, stunning. Some of the scenery, some of the imagery, even the costumes, the weapons, the enemy design, some of the bosses. Sprinting through Yharnam almost seems like a waste. It should be done on a gentle stroll. And then of course as the game progresses and the moon gets bigger and lower down and the colours, it's one of the most beautiful games I've ever played. A good trophy list. It's basically play the game to its fullest. There is an online component. You don't have to go anywhere near that. And then in terms of the busy work style collectibles, fairly quick. It's just find the weapons, which you're happy to find because you can use them. They're not little trinkets that you never look at. It's find weapons, find some other special items that you can also use. But everything you find for the collectible trophies is something you will actually use or can use. When you're playing Uncharted, you pick up a trinket and you go, I guess that's a thing. And then it's forgotten about. Discarded, never to be seen again. Not in Bloodborne. Bloodborne, the collectibles are done just right. The chalice dungeons can get quite grindy. I would recommend the moment a dungeon is opened and you can access it, do it. Because leaving it all for the end of the game it becomes quite monotonous. The game has 3 endings, and I might feel different if you couldn't make a manual save and had to play through the game 2 additional times. Granted, New Game Plus does offer some variety. Enemies are more difficult, and you can try out different builds and customize your character, but 2 additional playthroughs would definitely not make this a good trophy list for me. Making the manual save and then being able to get 3 endings, perfect. I mentioned replayability, like with the New Game Plus. I've finished, but I'm kind of itching to get back into Yharnam. And now knowing the layouts of the levels, trying to figure out how to get through stuff quicker, trying to do bosses differently, trying a different character build, immense amount of replayability on Bloodborne. I know people who've got hundreds of hours logged in it, and I can absolutely see why. The endings, all 3 of them, are great. It's just the imagery. It kind of reminds me of those old Japanese samurai movies where everything was just cool, or those westerns with the standoffs were just. It could be just an image, a still image, but there's this slight kind of movement, like the grass being blown by the wind, or kind of a scarf flapping. Just iconic imagery. You see it. How do I put it into words without spoiling anything? It's cool. It drips. It oozes coolness. All 3 endings do. Only dislike, chalice dungeons. They're the same. You got to go through 7 of them. Took me maybe 15 hours. Just the dungeons, that is not a fun 15 hours. Compared to going around Yharnam, think of 15 hours in the main game, and then compare that to 15 hours in the chalice dungeons. I understand them being there for replayability, but instead of 7 and potentially 15 hours, I know some pros can get through in about 5 because they know what they're doing. But maybe make it 5 chalice dungeons to get to the final boss instead of 7. Just seems a bit too much. But also, if you're to do them while playing the game, like you unlock the first chalice dungeon after beating, the 3rd or 4th boss in the game, that's probably when you should do the dungeon. and then it wouldn't be such a grind at the end. But yeah, my only dislike was I was so sick of those fucking dungeons. I was ready for them to be over. But maybe that was just because I did them wrong. So I have complaints. My one known complaint is the dungeons were grindy because I probably did them wrong. That's the pull of Bloodborne, because I understood fucking nothing about the story. I had no idea what's going on. It was cool. Don't know what's going on. Yeah, I kind of wanted to refrain from looking at those YouTube videos, those lore breakdown videos, and go back in New Game Plus and try and figure out stuff for myself. Yeah. Overall, game's excellent. The game's just excellent from start to finish. Some of the environments, the combat, that saw cleaver, transform attack, the struggling through an area only to come back to it later and just bash people around. Being able to upgrade your weapon and visibly see the difference. You know, an enemy used to take 3 strikes, now it takes 2. Yeah, and the fact that it had... I think endings in games are important, because otherwise what's the point? You know, I'm always hesitant to even start a game unless I'm going to finish it. And if I'm going to finish it, I would like the ending to be good, and Bloodborne delivered. And the ending was so goddamn good, and the gameplay is so satisfying, I can't wait to dive back into Yharnam. Okay, those are my thoughts about Bloodborne. Expect a Platinum Journey episode end of October, early... Well, I'd hope to have it out for Halloween. I've got a lot of footage of this game. A lot of footage. See how it goes. Aiming to get out before Halloween, so I think that would be pretty fucking cool. Much like Bloodborne. Alright folks, till next time, take care.